Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, with our main topic today. The Egyptian government has adopted the new customs law number 207 for the year 2020. It is part of the Egyptian tax and customs reform journey, and it has been approved by the Parliament. To shed more light on this, we have the pleasure to host today Ambassador Ayoub, Mahmoud Ayoub, Minister Commercial. Welcome, Ambassador Ayoub.
Welcome to you and to the viewers.
Well, Ambassador Ayoub, can we say that the new customs law number 207 for the year 2020 is now cancelling and replacing the previous and the old customs law number 66 for the year 1963, and also the customs law number 186 for the year 1986?
Yes, we can positively say that. You are speaking about laws which were promulgated almost 30 or 40 years ago. Now we are in year 2020, and many things have changed in the international arena, and especially in the foreign trade and the international transactions. Luckily, we have it now, better ever than never, or better late than never. We are very pleased to see that all the persons and institutions working in foreign trade are now clear, they have a clear path for what they will do, what they need to know before they begin transactions with foreign countries, and especially for our exporters. We are always concerned with our exports, and in this way we know that the process is easier, clear, and transparent to all those concerned. When I say to all those concerned, I mean the exporters in our country and the exporters in Egypt. That is to say that the clarity raises the prospects for our foreign trade, and on the other side, it minimizes the costs. We are always concerned about the cost, because the cost, it reflects on the end user or the consumer, and the cost reflects on the price at which I'm exporting my merchandise or my service to other countries. So this came at a critical time, and the exporters were always thinking about what are the procedures which I will face when this product reaches its destination or the port of export port. For example, if I import a merchandise or some commodities from China or from Germany or from Australia or even from Brazil,
yes,
what will I face in the customs? How long time will it take until it is cleared from the customs, and how much will it cost me?
So it regulates
all these steps, and beforehand the exporter knows, or the importer in this case knows, what he needs to do, so that he will not waste time in asking for documentation from the exporter in the foreign country, or asking for certificates of origin, or all these regulations, or all the documents which are sometimes unknown to him. So for him to know beforehand what he needs to know, for him to know what he needs to bring, for him to know how much he will pay, he can calculate his cost precisely, and in this way he can set the price for the end user at the lowest price possible. This is very important. Also, another aspect, when we are speaking about foreign trade, we are also in the same time we are speaking about investment in Egypt. Many companies need to know beforehand how much will it cost them to establish a presence in this market. In the way, that is to say, how much will it cost them to bring their machinery, and how long a time will it take until this machinery and equipment is put in action, that is, they are put in production. For them to know for sure what is needed, how much it will take of time, and the cost, I mean the financial cost and the time cost, because it is both costs. It may encourage them to come to this big market of 110 consumers, which is also gateway to Africa and the Arab countries.
Yes, yes. So
another
measures.
Yes, another aspect.
Yes, please.
I have been in important and was a commercial attaché in several countries. And I know all the questions are focused on this. How much will it take? And sometimes we import a merchandise or product from some country. To clear it from the customs, I need that this product goes for lab to be tested. That it is exactly what I opened the LC according to certain regulations or certain procedures or specifications, so that the conformity of specifications with what I have received.
Yes.
This is something very important, because sometimes I import a product and when it goes to the lab, the specifications are different, are lower. In this case, it will be rejected from the customs itself. That is to say, when there is clarity in the procedures, it is for the advantage of the importer and most importantly for the advantage of exporter. When I say exporter, this means that we have a general organization for control on import and export.
Yes.
They have offices on all the Egyptian customs outlets in Alexandria, in Mediterranean, on the Red Sea, and even in South Egypt, in Aswan and south to Aswan, for merchandise coming from Sudan. When I am sure that the product which I receive conforms to specifications which we agreed on, and most importantly, which are stipulated by the government, because the government have a set of rules for what we can import and the specifications of what we can import and the quantities which are allowed to be imported to this country. For example, I'll give you an example which might be a little bit different.
Yes.
We are importing camels from Sudan. It comes on the hoofs from Sudan to Darb el-40 or the 40 days outlet from Sudan to Egypt. It should be checked for all the veterinary illnesses which it can have. It should be checked before it comes to the Egyptian market or to it reaches Mbaba. It should be checked from health point of view, from veterinary point of view. So this clarity which the government has stipulated lately by this law makes it easier for the importer, and also it reflects on the consumer. How it reflects on the consumer? Because the consumer knows for sure that this product has passed through the legal outlets or inlets as far as its specifications and its safety for consumption in the Egyptian market. This is one thing. Other thing is that sometimes exporters export, let's say, agricultural products, let's say, to European Union. We should note beforehand that it conforms to the regulations put also by the European market.
Yes.
That is very important for our credibility, for the continuity of our exports, and also for gaining foothold in this market, especially in the COVID-19 situation, because there are good opportunities for the Egyptian exports, especially to Europe at this time of the COVID-19.
Yes.
So this law comes at a critical time or an important time, and the timing is very important, and we will see after that many investors will think again about the Egyptian market. They were afraid at some point because there was not clarity. But now with this law, with this promulgated recently, they are sure how much will it cost them to produce a certain product in this market, and they can compete or not.
Yes.
This is one thing. Other thing is that in many cases we find that the exporter, for let's say from this or that country from the Far East, exported to Egypt substandard products. Before they enter the Egyptian market, they should go by the certificate of origin, by the certificate of or specifications, and also by the pro forma invoice or commercial invoice. They know for sure what they are going to import and whether or not it conforms to the Egyptian standards and Egyptian specifications. So there is a lot to be said about promulgated law for the customs, because for many years most of the importers and the exporters and investors were complaining of the customs procedure and the customs time which is taken. And when there is clarity, the corruption will come down. This is very important.
Yes.
Also, because we need to be very clear about no corruption. When there is clarity and transparency in the law and in procedures, this means that the investor, the foreign exporter, the Egyptian importer, and most importantly, the Egyptian exporter knows for sure how much will it take, just like 24 hours or 36 hours or 48 hours. I said hours, not days. Because when I'm exporting, for example, mangoes or capsicum or tomatoes to the European market, I should know for sure how many hours it will take, so that because the ship or the shipment needs to know at which hour will it be ready for export, because the importer there at the other side is waiting it at 6 o'clock in the morning, so it can be on the rock in the shops at 8 o'clock, for example. Time is a very important factor as far as our exports are concerned. Cost is very important as far as our imports is concerned. So this law comes at a critical time. I have read the law and there are a lot of details in it. We cannot go to the details, but the most important point is that
Because
clarity and transparency. Yes.
You mean, for example, they have put not more than 10,000 Egyptian pounds for the taxes on the importing?
For any person to import, he should be registered in the importer's register. He should put a clear calculate about 30,000 Egyptian pounds that he is viable, so that if anything happens from him.
They also put a limited time, a year and a year and a half for the commodities and...
This is another important point which you are referring to.
Yes.
The shelf life of any product should be clear, not only to consumer, but also to the seller. If I import, for example, a medicine, for example, although Egypt is exporting medicines, but if I import medicines from, say, another country, European country, it should be clearly put on the package itself, on each package. The shelf life, the use by date, because in many cases we found, but this was in some years back, they import products which the shelf life is about to finish or to come to an end within a couple of weeks. Surely it will stay on the shelf for more than a couple of weeks. This means that it will be on the shelves when it has been expired. This law puts everything in order so that even the seller and the end user knows for sure that what he is selling or what he is consuming is healthy for himself and for his children. That is a very important factor also which should be noted about this new law. And I think that the importers and exporters, or let's say the foreign trade sector, is now working within clear laws and clear regulations, and they know the cost and where they will go to. And before the shipment arrives to the Egyptian ports, by the way, the exporter will send electronically the pro forma invoice, the commercial invoice, the certificate of origin, and the specifications, so that it will be checked electronically by the authority for import and export, for control in import and export. So if it is okay, it will come. If it is not okay, he will not be able to export it. Another thing, as soon as it has come, they will check, or cross-check what he has written on the actual shipment which we have received. So it was badly needed, and luckily we have it at last, and so that the importers and exporters are aware beforehand with what they can do and what they cannot do, and what they cannot is very important.
Yes. So Ambassador Ayoub, can we say that the mechanisms in general in this law could in general lead to an increase in the volume of exports and also leads to a reduction in the cost of imports for both the Egyptian producer and the customer?
This is a very important point.
Yes.
Why? Because for me as exporter, I need to know how much will I pay, that is the cost, and how long will it take for me as exporter. For me as an importer, I need to know beforehand how long will it take the ship from the port in Indonesia, in China, or in Sao Paulo, or whatever, or even in Venezia. How long will it take, so that I can calculate properly when will it arrive and when I can put it to the consumers. This is one thing. Other thing which is more important than that is that the cost involved. That is to say, how much customs, how much for clearance, how much for transportation to the end user, and how can I unpack it and put it to the shelf and sell it, and at what cost.
Yes.
So I can say that the volume of trade, and rather the volume of exports and the value of exports, can increase due to this clarity and transparency in the rules of export and rules of import, and more importantly in the procedures and time needed in this process.
Yes. Ambassador Ayoub, what's the difference between, or what did this law add? Although we had the previous laws in 1963 and 1986.
When we say 63, that is 60 years ago.
Yes.
86, that is...
It was, now it's not coping with the...
So we should cope with the change.
Yes.
In the international trade, with change even in the tools which I use now. Electronic, we are using the internet and the social media.
Yes.
and the Instagram and all these tools to make it easier, and most importantly to make it transparent for the importer and for the exporter. So this clarity means that I am coping with the language which is used now in all over the world. I cannot deal with the world with a law promulgated 60 years ago, or even 40 years ago, or even 20 years ago.
Yes.
We need to go up to the standard, and this law helps a lot as far as foreign trade is concerned.
Yes. So Ambassador Ayoub, concerning the coping now with the changes in the whole world, how can the new customs law and the new customs authority actually should be developed in order to cope with the new law?
I think, and this is true, they should develop electronically. That is to say, before I import, they are informed electronically what will be imported, whether or not it will be accepted. So this is number one. Second, how much will I pay, if it is feasible or not. And third, specifications which it will be imported.
Yes.
Does these specifications cope with the Egyptian criteria or not? Fourth, the cost involved as far as clearing is concerned, because clearing does not, when a merchandise reaches the Egyptian port, it should be checked by the General Organization, General Authority for Import and Export.
Yes.
Also for the health considerations, and also even for drugs considerations. Many things could be smuggled. And now we have in the customs equipment which you can check the products while it is in the container without opening it.
Yes.
So we are coping with what the world needs and what the other countries are doing. We are in 2020 now, not in 1020. So many things have changed, and we are coping with it, and we have to cope with it, otherwise we lose our standing in the international trade. And luckily we are coping with what the market needs. Judging from what I have seen in countries like Sudan, or to where I've been posted, or Somalia, or Australia, or Switzerland, the importer should know beforehand the health criteria, specifications of the product, and where he can sell it and where he is not allowed to sell it, because sometimes we face dumping. Many countries are selling the product in the Egyptian market, for example, especially for China, at a lower cost than they are sold in China. This is called dumping. When we are see the product is dumped in the Egyptian market, I can impose anti-dumping duties on it, and this is also one of the results of coping with international standards of foreign trade.
Yes. What about, Ambassador Ayoub, what about the prices? How would the new law going to influence the prices of imported products?
It will surely reflect positively on prices. When I say positively, this does not mean that it will raise price, but rather it will lower the price. Why? Because the cost involved will be lower for the importer and even for the exporter. This is one thing. Other thing is that the customs authority can get their money as early as possible, and this will minimize the cost. Third, the time which I have been importing things, many things, it takes maybe 1 week or 1 month. When I say 1 month in the customs, so I am paying for, when it says for customs, I'm paying on daily basis or hourly basis. When I'm sure beforehand how much it will take, and it is cleared before it is exported. It's very, it seems very strange, but no, it is not strange.
Yes.
When the customs say, yes, this product at this quantity, at this price is okay for us, this means that all they do in the customs when the shipment arrives just to cross-check that what is in the documentation received a couple of weeks ago conforms to what actually was received, and this will cut the costs down for the importer. When I say for the importer, I mean also the end user. That is for the consumer. It will cut the cost for him, and so it is for the advantage of the end user or the Egyptian consumer. And you are lucky that this clarity and using electronic tools for clearing, it will cut the time and will cut the cost, and it will be reflected also on the competition in the Egyptian market. We need more competition. When I say competition, not only from inside but also from outside. When I am importing a product at a lower cost from overseas, this means if I am producing the same product in Egypt, this will force the local manufacturer or producer to recheck his cost sheet.
Yes.
This will force them to recheck his specifications. This will force him to recheck maybe shaping, packaging. Sometimes they have to change how
Yes.
they can put it in the market.
Yes.
We will come later on to the Sudanese market, because it is also important for our exports.
Yes, I thank you very much for your time and for your valuable information. And Ambassador Ayoub Mahmoud Ayoub, Minister Commercial, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you, and thanks to the consumers who prefer Egyptian products.
Thank you very much. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I now leave you with my colleague Shireen Adel.